we are seeing the commentary of Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya on the 4th sutra of the Brahma Sutras. So he was explaining how, though knowledge happens at the mental level, it is not on a par with action, because it is not just mental action. How? He says because it is distinct. Because every action has to be performed depending upon the volition or will of a person. So a person can either kartum, do, akartum, not do, or anyatha va kartum, or can do it in a different manner. Any action. So meditation or thinking, they are all mental actions because they are dependent on a person's activity. Whereas knowledge is not like that. He says, Jnanam tu pramana janyam. Whereas dhyanam chintanam yadyapi manasam, though meditation and contemplation are mental, tathapi, even then, purushena kartum akartum anyatha va kartum shakyam. It is possible for a person to do it, kartum, akartum, not do it, or anyatha va kartum, or to do it in a different manner. Because it is Purusha Tantratvat. It is Purusha Tantra. It is dependent on a person. Jnanam tu pramana janyam. Whereas knowledge is not like that. It is born out of pramana. So we know means of valid knowledge. Means of valid knowledge is called pramana. So knowledge is born out of pramana janyam. Pramana. What are pramana? There are 6 types of pramana. One is pratyaksha, then anumana, then upamana, then anupalabdhi, then shabda, like that. So there are 6 pramanas. Arthapatti, 6 pramanas totally there are. So these 6 pramanas give rise to valid knowledge. And what is pramana? Pramanam cha yatha bhuta vastu vishayam. So for pramana to operate, the vishaya or the object of pramana, of a valid cognition, valid means of valid knowledge, is pramana. So for any means of valid knowledge to work properly, it is yatha bhuta vastu vishayam. For its object, it will have yatha bhuta vastu, an entity which is already existing. Yatha bhuta vastu. What is existing? As it is existing. So a person can think of imaginary things, but they cannot be proven by valid means of knowledge. Because valid means of knowledge need an existing entity. Ataha, therefore, jnanam, knowledge, kartum, akartum, anyatha va kartum na shakyam. Therefore, knowledge cannot be done or not done or done in a different manner. Why? Because in front of you, suppose there is a jar. The moment you see the jar, you have a knowledge of the jar. How can you negate this knowledge? Or how can you change this knowledge? You cannot. If you have to change the knowledge, you have to go and lift the jar, but you will always know that the jar was there to begin with. So actually you cannot change unless there is Purusha Tantra. Change can happen only when it is dependent on the activity of a person. As such, the jar as it is will produce only knowledge of jar, which is Vastu Tantra, which is dependent on a pre-existing entity. So the jar was existing even before you came to the scene. So you see the jar, and that is knowledge. So that knowledge, Kevalam Vastu Tantram eva tad. Kevalam, it is merely Vastu Tantram eva. It is indeed dependent only on the entity. The knowledge is dependent only on entity. Na chodana tantram. It is not tantram, not dependent. Na tantram, not dependent on chodana. Chodana means injunction, Vedic injunction. So it is not dependent on Vedic injunction. Vedas don't say that you see a jar in front of you. They don't say like that. Even if they were to say, you will not see a jar in front of you, because just because Vedas says. So you will have to then bring a jar and keep it in front of you. So that is Chodana Tantram. It is dependent on Vedic injunction. But here it is not like that. It is dependent on the very existence of that entity, pre-existing entity. It is not dependent on what you say or what you think. It is dependent on its presence. And similarly, Brahman is not dependent on Napi Purusha Tantram, or Jnana. Knowledge is not dependent on the person. It is not possible. Knowledge is there because of the pre-existing entity, already existing entity. You see that and you get knowledge. Knowledge does not depend on the activity of a person. So, Tasmat, therefore, Manasatve api, though it is at the mental level, though it belongs to the mind, Jnanasya Mahat Vailakshanyam. There is a great Mahat, great Vailakshanyam difference as far as Jnana is concerned. Jnanasya of Jnana. Why? What is the Vailakshanyam? Vailakshanyam here is, this Jnana is not dependent on the activity of any person. Whereas Dhyanam, meditation, or Chintanam, contemplation, are definitely dependent on the activity of a person. Unless a person thinks, that person cannot think. Unless the person meditates, the person cannot meditate. That means that person may want to meditate upon Shiva, end up meditate upon monkey. So why? Because that person is anyatha kartum, has done it in a different manner. Or might want to concentrate on mathematics, gets concentrate on maybe some delicacy which is being prepared in the kitchen nearby. So that is also anyatha kartum. It is dependent on the Purusha, the activity of the Purusha. Whereas the knowledge is not dependent on anybody. So the person is sitting in front of that person, there is a chair which is vacant, nobody is sitting there. That is a knowledge which is not dependent on any activity of that person. The chair, just because of its being existence, creates this knowledge of the chair being existent. So that is called Vastu Tantra. It is dependent on the entity itself. This is a very important thing. Therefore, Yathacha, similarly, Purusho Vava Gautama Agnihi, in the Chandogya Upanishad it is said, Purusho Vava Gautama Agnihi. Oh Gautama, this Agni is indeed man. Purushaha Vava. Vava indeed. So this Gautama, oh Gautama, to Gautama it is told, thus this man indeed is fire. Yosha Vava Gautama Agnihi. Again it is told to Gautama, oh Gautama, Yosha means woman. Woman is indeed fire. Iti atra, in this manner, in that Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Yoshit Purushayoho Agni Buddhihi Manasi Bhavati. So in this manner, both for the woman and man, this contemplation, buddhi, this cognition or thought of Agni, both man and woman being fire, Agni, it is a manasi bhavati. It is a mental thought. Correct. It is a mental thought. Why is it a mental thought? Because kevala chodana janyatvattu kriyaiva sa. Because it is a mental thought, and it is kevala chodana janyatvat, because of its arising merely because of a scriptural injunction. So scripture says Purusha Vava Gautama Agnihi. So indeed, O Gautama, man is fire. So immediately, because of this statement of the Vedas, it is this cognition of seeing fire in man arises. That is Kevala Chodana Janyatvat, because of its being merely dependent on a scriptural injunction. To Kriyaiva Sa. And also this is definitely action. It is only an action. Kriya eva, kriyaiva sa. That is only an action. Purusha tantracha. And that action is also obviously it goes without saying. It is also obviously dependent on a person. Purusha tantracha. Any action is dependent on person. So here also this action of considering both man and woman as Agni, as fire, is dependent on the activity of a person of contemplating man and woman as fire. Unless that happens, this thing will not come. So here, this contemplation is dependent on the activity of a person. And that's why it's called Purusha Tantra. Like earlier in the beginning itself, it was told, Chintanam, Dhyanam, all these are Manasam. They are all mental, but they are Purusha Tantra. They are dependent on a person. Similarly here, the contemplation which the Upanishad prescribes is dependent on a person. Yatu prasiddhe agnau agni buddhihi nasa chodana tantra napi purusha tantra. Conversely, yatu prasiddhe agnau agni buddhihi. So agni buddhihi, the cognition or knowledge of Agni in Agni. So seeing fire, you think that, oh, this is fire. Why? Because it is prasiddha. It is well known. It is well known. So when you see well known, you go and you see Pani Puri, you immediately understand, oh, this is Pani Puri. Pani Puri is well known. Golgappa also they call it. Some places they call it Pani Batasha. It is well known. You see dosa, you immediately understood, oh, this is dosa because it is well known. So what is well known, seeing it itself, you get the cognition, buddhi of that particular thing. So if you see fire, you immediately get the cognition or knowledge of fire. And why? Because nasa chodana tantra, because it is not dependent on a scriptural injunction. If you see a man, you will not think, oh, see, fire comes. No. For that you would have to read, you would have to have had read Chandogya Upanishad, where it is saying, oh Gautama, Purusho Vava Agni. So then you will say, oh, Chandogya Upanishad says, so when a man comes, you say, oh, fire, fire. Woman comes also, you say fire, fire, because it is said in the Upanishad. But so that depends on the Chodana. That means the injunction given by the scripture. And it also depends on the activity of contemplation. Unless you think of a man as fire, unless you think of a woman as fire, you cannot see them as fire. So it depends, that particular thing depends. The cognition of man and woman as fire depends on scriptural injunction and also on the activity of that person. Whereas in the case of the cognition of fire as fire, Agnau Agni Buddhihi. So you see fire and you say, oh, it is fire. For that, you don't need any scriptural injunction. You don't need any scriptural injunction. Also, you don't need any activity of a person. So it is not dependent on any scriptural injunction. It is also not dependent on the activity of any person. Kim tarhi, then what is it? Or what is it dependent upon? Pratyaksha Vishaya Vastu Tantraiva iti jnanameva etad na kriya. So it is tantra dependent on Pratyaksha Vishaya Vastu Tantraiva. It is dependent on that which is perceived by Pratyaksha Pramana. It is dependent upon Pratyaksha Vishaya Vastu, the object of the Pratyaksha Pramana. It is dependent on that. So if you have direct perception, so direct perception is the real perception. All other pramanas, they are dependent on direct perception. So Pratyaksha is direct perception. Anumana is inference. Anumana is dependent on direct perception. Some place you saw that there was fire and there was smoke. So you say, yatra yatra dhumo tatra tatra vahnihi. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. So that correlation is brought about because of your seeing smoke where there was fire. So Pratyaksha Pramana is dependent on Pratyaksha Pramana. So Pratyaksha Vishaya Vastu Tantraiva, it is indeed dependent on the object of direct perception. So if you directly perceive something, then it is dependent on that. What is dependent on that? Jnana is dependent on that. Knowledge is dependent on that. So knowledge of anything is dependent on seeing that thing directly, direct perception of that thing. And iti jnanameva etat na kriya. In this manner, it is jnanameva etat. This is indeed knowledge. It is not action. Evam sarva pramana vishaya vastushu veditavyam. Similarly, sarva pramana vishaya vastushu, regarding all the objects of all pramanas. Pramana means 6 means of valid knowledge. So those 6 pramana, anumana, pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, anupalabdhi, arthapatti and shabda. All these pramanas, sarva pramana vishya vastushu veditavyam. Evam. In this manner, one has to veditavyam, one has to understand, one has to know sarva pramana vishya vastushu, regarding all the objects of all the means of knowledge. All means of knowledge, they are dependent on the entity which is already existing. The entity which is already existing. It is not dependent on any Purusha, person. It is also not dependent on any it's not dependent on any person. It is also not dependent on any action. So it is dependent on the Vastu, whatever entity is already there. Tatra evam sati, that being the case, yatha bhuta brahmatma vishayam api jnanam na chodana tantram. Yatha bhuta, already existing, brahma atma vishayam api, in the case of brahman atman, which is already existing, jnanam na chodana tantram. Knowledge is not dependent on scriptural injunction, chodana. Scriptural injunction. Knowledge is not dependent upon scriptural injunction. Tad vishaye lingadayah shruyamana api aniyojya vishayatvat kunthi bhavanti upaladishu prayukta kshurak taishyadivat aheya anupadeya vastu vishayatvat. So it is very simply is telling, see, yatha bhuta brahmatma vishayam api jnanam na chodana tantram. As far as it is concerned about yatha bhuta brahma atma vishayam, the concerned about yatha bhuta brahmatma vishayam, that which is already existing, yatha bhuta, or as it is existing, Brahma Atma Vishayam, the objects of Brahman and Atman. So Brahman cannot be objectified, Atman cannot be objectified. But what is being told is that which has got Brahman and Atman as its objects, that jnanam, that knowledge, it is not Chodana Tantram. It is not dependent on scriptural injunction. It is not dependent on scriptural injunction. Tadvishaye lingadayah shruyamana api aniyojya vishayatvat kunthi bhavanti. So though tadvishaye, regarding that, regarding what? Regarding the Atman and Brahman. Regarding Atman and Brahman, which is the object of jnana here. Atman and Brahman. So Atma's jnana or Brahma jnana one gets. So you cannot really say that it is object of knowledge. So one becomes Brahman. One becomes, by getting Brahma jnana, one becomes Brahman. Brahma with Brahmaiva bhavati, says the Upanishad. So here, though tadvishaye, regarding Atman or Brahman, lingadayah shruyamana api, though shruyamana, the Shruti, though Shruti says, what does it say? Means Vedas, they say tadvishaye lingadayah. So that means different kinds of, though there is different kinds of form, verbal forms in the Upanishads or in the Vedas, Shruyamana api, though it is heard or we know of various such forms of verbs in this language or in the language of the Vedas, though we know. So what are the forms of the verb? For example, Shrotavya, Mantavya, Nididhyasitavya. So the Vedas or the Upanishad says one has to listen to it, about it. One has to contemplate on this. One has to make it a conviction. Then one has to also, Mantavya, one has to go into deep contemplation. And Nididhyasitavya, one has to become merged in this. So all these things are being told, though they refer to different verbal forms, but though they say and they refer to different verbal forms, aniyojya vishayatvat, because they consider aniyojya vishayatvat, because they relate to something which cannot be considered relevant here. So they relate to something that which is irrelevant. Aniyojya vishayatvat. So the vishaya, here vishaya is what? Here vishaya is to realize Brahman. That is the vishaya. So there aniyojya vishayatvat, they have got some vishaya which cannot be niyojya. Niyojya means which cannot be prescribed, which cannot be prescribed by the Vedas, instructed by the Vedas. That is the vishaya. That is the object of this knowledge. So the object of this knowledge is what? Brahma jnana. Brahman is the object. Can Brahman be instructed? It cannot. So that is the idea. So how one plans to say that this Brahma jnana or this Shruyamana api, though it is told in the Shrutis, it is aniyojya vishayatvat. It is a vishaya or it is a subject or a topic which is aniyojya. Which is aniyojya. Aniyojya means it is not, it cannot be niyojaya. It cannot be prescribed as Vedic action. It cannot be prescribed as Vedic injunction, Vedic action. So then what happens? Then it is kunti bhavanti. It becomes ineffective. Kunti bhavanti, it becomes ineffective. Why does it become ineffective? Because you cannot take these things or this Brahman which is something which cannot be proven by the 6 means of valid knowledge. They cannot prove the existence of Brahman. So that's the risk. That is the challenge. And so if you use something where it cannot be used, what will happen? Then it is told Upaladishu Prayukta Kshura Taishnyadivat. So Upaladishu. So one person, what does that person does? Upaladishu Prayukta Kshura Taishnya. That person Prayukta uses one's Shura Taishnya. Shura means blade, or Shura means knife or sword. So this knife Taikshnyadivat, knife sharpness, or this razor blade sharpness, or this sword's sharpness. What happens when you apply it, that sharpness, when you apply it to Upala Adishu? Upala means stone. Upala Adishu means in such places. When you apply this Kshura, knife, what will happen? So on stone, if you were to apply a sword, what will happen? Lot of sound will be generated, and then the sword will get little damaged. So sword will get little damage. So it will become blunt also. So prayukta kshura taishnyadivat. So if you have to cut a stone, if you use a knife which is very sharp, then what will happen? The knife will not be able to cut the stone, but the knife will definitely become blunt. So that is, you use something where it cannot be used. That is the idea. Aniyojyatvat. So you cannot properly, effectively employ this thing where that is necessary. So that is why, then what do we understand here? That is why we have to understand that aheya anupadeya vastu vishayatvat, because the entity which is present always, the already existing entity, that is bhuta vastu, yatha bhuta vastu, that entity aheya anupadeya vastu vishayatvat. So that entity is what? It is aheya. It cannot be rejected. You say, I don't like Brahman, so I am rejecting Brahman. Not possible. Because Brahman is Sat Chit Ananda. It is at the background of everything that you see, perceive, etc. So Brahman cannot be rejected. Okay, more difficult question. So Brahman cannot be rejected. It cannot be accepted also. Aheya anupadeya. Upadeya means to accept. So you say, okay, I accept sun. Very good. Now sun I have accepted. Let me send one certificate. Write to sun. Sun, I have accepted you. Okay, SUN sun, not SON sun. So I have accepted. Now you can raise in the east direction. If you Google, you will get some such statement by some such person. I'm not telling the name of such person, etc. But it is good entertainment. You say, oh, sun, I gave permission to rise today, like that, something like that. So why? Because that is entertainment. Why? Because it is not necessary. Anupadeya. You don't need to accept the sun. This doesn't make any sense. You don't need to accept the sun. Again, it is SUN. Don't please confuse it with SON. Then you will say, oh, it is told not necessary to accept the sun. Go, get out of my house. Something like that will happen. We have to be very careful these days. No, everything is recorded. So, aheya, it cannot be rejected. It cannot be accepted also. Why it cannot be accepted? Because it doesn't matter. Whatever is already existing, it does not matter whether you accept it or reject it. Even if you reject it, it's already existing. Even if you accept it, it is already rejected. Whereas compare it with something which is written in the Vedas, injunction. Now you may do it, you may not do it. Or you may be following the Vedas by not doing it. So why? Because it is called Nishedha. Nishedha means prohibition. So Vedas prohibit you from doing something. So if you don't do that, you're following the Vedas. Similarly, so there you have to reject something. You have to heya something because Vedas say so. Similarly, you have to do something because Vedas say so. But in the case of Brahman or Atman, there is nothing to be rejected, nothing to be done. Because it refers to an already existing entity. So, Kunti Bhavanti. So the all the things which have been told by this scripture or Vedas, that is when it cannot be applied to what it is meant to be applied to. That is, if the Vedas are instructing something to be done, then if it cannot be done, then aniyojya vishayatvat, because it has not been that whatever has been instructed has not been done, or one cannot instruct that, that is why it becomes kunti bhavanti, it becomes ineffective. It becomes ineffective. Upaladishu we have seen, etc. And also because it cannot be accepted or it cannot be rejected. So then now the question is, okay, we understand all these things, but then please explain why the Shruti, why the Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, says that Shrotavya, etc. Why does it say? So there is Tavya Pratyaya, this suffix Tavya is there. Tavya suffix is used whenever you intend to show a command. So Gantavya means this is destination, you have to reach there. So like that, here Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is saying Drashtavya, Shrotavya, one has to see, one has to hear, etc. So the problem is, what is the purpose of such statement or such injunction? So it is asked, Kimarthani tarhi, tarhi then, tarhi means then. Kimarthani, what is the purpose? Atma va are drashtavya, shrotavya, iti adini. So what is the purpose of these sentences? That is Atma va are drashtavya, shrotavya. So are means, oh, indeed, Atma has to be seen, Atma has to be spoke, has to be seen, has to be heard. Atma va are drashtavya hai, has to be seen, shrotavya hai, has to be heard. Ityadini, in this manner, vidichayani vakyani. Vidichaya means as something which has the chaya or has the reflection of or shadow of vidhi. Vidhi means injunction. Vedic injunction, Vedic command. So someone who has got the semblance or resembling of what? Injunction. So here when the Upanishad says Atma va are drashtavya hai, shrotavya hai, though it might not be treated as an injunction, it definitely looks like injunction. That's why vidhi chaya. Vidhi chaya means that which appears like injunction. Vidhi. Injunction is vidhi. So it definitely looks like injunction. But it is not. There are only two portions quoted from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. 2, 4, 5. The first one. And also 4, 5, 6. In both places it is there. So that is what is quoted. So these vakyani, these sentences are vidichaya, they are like, they can be treated like vidhi, but they are not vidhi because they resemble vidhi. So then here further he says, swabhavika pravritti vishaya vimokhi karanarthani iti bruma. Swabhavika pravritti vishaya vimukhi karanarthani. So what is it? So here it is told all these vidichayani vakyani, all these sentences which resemble vidhi or injunction, they, what are they? This one might ask, what is the purpose of this statement? That is the question. Kimarthani tarhi. What is the purpose of this statement? Atma va are drashtavyah shrotavyah. Because you are saying there will be no action for Brahman. That is what you are saying, Advaita Vedanti is saying. But what is the purpose of this statement then? Then it will become purposeless. So the question is this. Answer is Swabhavika Pravritti. One's natural course of action. What is one's natural course of action? To interact with sense objects. That is the natural course of action. To interact with sense objects. So, Swabhavika Pravritti Vishaya Vimukhi Karanarthani. What is the artha of this type of sentences? These type of sentences like Atmava, Are Drashtavya, Shrotavya, etc. What is the purpose of these sentences? The purpose is Swabhavika Pravritti Vishaya Vimukhi Karana. To Vimukhi Karana, to remove oneself away, to take oneself away from what? Swabhavika, natural, pravritti vishaya. So the swabhavika means natural, means as one does regularly, and swarup pravritti vishaya. Pravritti vishaya means the objects to which one is inclined. Vishaya, objects to which one is inclined, pravritti vishaya. From there, swabhavika pravritti vishaya vimukhi karanarthani. It is to turn oneself away from one's natural pravritti vishaya, natural objects to which one is naturally pulled towards, or one has got natural pravritti. So when somebody says, I want to know this. So there, what happens? Though it is being told in the manner of instruction, but this Brahman cannot be seen in the manner of Vedic instruction. That we have already seen. So that is why it is what it is. These type of vakyas, they turn us away from all objects of worldly experience. They turn us away from these type of experiences. Why? Because that is these type of experiences. What do? They take us away from the knowledge that we are Brahman. They take us away from the knowledge that we are Atman. And so we have to vimukhi, we have to go away from the natural inclinations. So that is what is the purpose of this statement. Atma va are drashtavyah, shrotavyah, etc. That it makes you normal by removing your attention from the objects that you are inclined to. So that vimukhi karana is very important. Then iti brumaha, that is what we reply. So we say, for this kind of an objection, we say, yes, this objection takes, this objection is that why can't you accept that also as vidhi vakya? Why can't you say that yes, atma vare drashtavyah, mantavyah, etc., shrotavyah, that is also vidhi, like that. That is also the fruit of some action, or so that is also spiritual injunction. Like that, if you say, it is not possible. Why? Because generally we have seen that swabhavika pravritti vishaya vimukhi karanarthani, iti brumah. We have also told, what did we tell? We told that iti brumah, we have told or we are telling that swabhavika pravritti vishaya vimukhi karana arthani. Artha, that artha or goal in life, whatever goal. So here vimukhi karana arthani. Here the purpose of this Mahavakyas, we can say. These Upanishadic statements, the purpose of these Upanishadic statements are Swabhavika Pravritti Vishaya Vimukhi Karana. They are there to turn us away, Vimukhi, turn us away from Swabhavika Pravritti Vishaya, from our activity or from our doing or our activity or from Vishaya or objects to which we are naturally inclined to. So now why that has to be done? That is the question. Why should that be done? Because yohi bahirmukha pravartate purushah ishtam me bhuyat anishtam ma bhut iti nacha tatra atyantikam purushartham labate. See, yahi bahirmukha purushah pravartate. A person who acts externally, bahirmukha externally, pravartate acts, ishtam me bhuyat. This is ishtam, this is to my liking. Anishtam ma bhut. So this is to my liking, so let it be there with me, or let me have what I like. Anishtam ma bhut. Let what I don't like, anishtam ma bhut, let it not come to me. So ishtam me bhuyat. Bhuyat, let it come, let it be. So whatever I like, let it be. Anishtam ma bhut. Whatever I don't like, let it not happen or let it not be. Like that a person thinks while that person is acting externally. While that person is acting externally. So when a person sees an animal which is coming to attack that person, then that person is, oh, I don't want that. So runs and saves oneself or drives away that animal. Similarly, that person sees some food which that person likes, then that person gobbles up the food. So ishtam me bhuyat, whatever I like, let it come to me, let it happen. Anishtam ma bhut, whatever I don't like, let it not happen, let it not come to me. Nacha tatra atyantikam purushartham labhate. But there, tatra, in that case, atyantikam purushartham na labhate. One does not attain atyantika purushartha. Atyantika purushartha means the ultimate goal of human life or ultimate goal. And that is what? That is moksha. The final goal. One does not get there because it's moksha. So now for the purpose of attaining Atyantika Purushartham, what one should do? That's the question. That is the question. Tam Atyantika Purushartha Vanchinam. Vanchinam, those who desire. Atyantika Purushartha. The Purusha Artha means a human goal of Atyantika human goal. That means the final human goal. Parama Purushartha, Charama Purushartha. The final human goal, the supreme human goal. What is that? Moksha. Those who desire it, Swabhavika Karya Karana Sangata Pravritti Gocharat Vimukhi Kritya. So those people, what they have to do? They have to Vimukhi Kritya, having turned themselves away from what? Swabhavika Karya Karana Sangata Pravritti Gocharat. They have to turn themselves away from Swabhavika, naturally, Karya, Karana, Sangata, from the Pravritti, from the natural inclination of Karya, Karana, Sangata, of the Sangata or the complex. Sanghata means association, of the association of Karya means body and karana means mind here. So the association of body and mind, whatever natural inclination comes, that pravritti gocharat means the object of the natural inclination of the body mind complex. Association of the body and mind. From that, one has to vimukhi kritya. One has to turn away oneself. Why? If one does not turn away, then how will one know moksha? How will one know Brahman? Unless you know Brahman, how will you get moksha? So one has to turn away. Pratyagatma shrotah taya pravartayanti. And turning away, what they have to do? Pratyagatma shrotastaya. They have to pravartayanti. So by turning away, that person is pravartayanti, is turned to pratyagatma shrotastaya. So that person is turned to be inclined towards the inner self. Pratyagatma means inner self. So by diverting or removing that person's attention from natural inclinations, that person's inclination is turned towards pratyagatma, indwelling self. Sri Ramakrishna says a wonderful thing. He says, if you feel angry, feel angry towards God. If you feel love God. So what you do, you just divert the emotions towards God. So here also the same thing. Whatever I am naturally inclined to do, from there I remove my focus from there, and I vimukhi kritya, I divert myself from there, and I turn it pravartayanti, I turn it towards pratyagatma. I turn it towards my indwelling self. And then how do I turn it towards indwelling self? And that is where this helps. Atma vai are drashtavyah ityadini. So using these kinds of statements that, oh, you have to indeed see Atman, like that, this mind or our nature, our inclination, lower inclination, our nature which is naturally inclined to certain things, from those things, this nature is pulled back and it is applied, or it is set in the inclination towards inner self. That is why that particular statement, the purpose of the statement is this. That was the question. Kimarthani tarhi atma vare drashtavya shrotavya ityadini vidichayani vakyani. So all these vakyas or sentences which resemble injunctions, what is the purpose of these sentences? What is the purpose of these sentences? The purpose is this, that they make a person go away from their natural inclination towards sense experience, the natural inclination towards the experiencing of sense objects, or the natural inclination towards working through body-mind complex. From there, these statements like Vatma va are drashtavyah, it takes one's mind away from that, and it inspires or instructs to see the indwelling Atman, the indwelling self, tasya, of that person, Atma Anveshanaya Pravrittasya, the person who has started Pravrittasya, one who has started to Atma Anveshanaya, for the sake of knowing Atman. Atman Anvesha, Atma Anveshanaya, for the sake of Anveshana. Anveshana, inquiry. Inquiry into Atman. Inquiry into Atman or Brahman, same thing. So that person who has Pravrittasya, one who has started to, or one who has begun, one who has set out to realize the Atman, that person, pravritasya aheyam anupadeyam cha atma tattvam upadishyate. So to that person, instruction is given. What kind of instruction is given? Aheyam anupadeyam cha atma tattvam. The instruction is given about the principle of Atman, the entity of Atman, which is aheyam, which cannot be rejected. Also, it is anumpadeyam. It cannot be accepted also. So that Atma Tattvam, that nature of the self is taught. How? By this particular mantra, idam sarvam yat ayam atma. So here, whatever you see, idam, this, all that what you see, yat, what you see, ayam, this atma is atma. Whatever you see here is atma. So the idea here is that there is no need to or it is not possible to reject, or it is not possible to accept also, because it is something which is already existing. We just saw that. So something which is already existing, you cannot reject or you cannot accept. It does not make any sense. It is illogical. Also, yatra to asya sarvam atma eva bhut tat kenakam pashyet kenakam vijaniyat vigyataramare kena vijaniyat. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So from selections it is given. So yatra tu asya sarvam atma eva bhut. So where this yatra tu, when, yatra here means when. So when to, but when sarvam atma eva abhut, for a person, tasya, asya, for a person, sarvam, all, everything, all, universe, Brahman, everything is atma eva abhut. It is just self alone. When a person attains that knowledge, that is what is meant. For that person, everything is just self alone, then what happens? Then tat kena kam pashyet. Then how, by what means kena? Kena, by what means come, what object pashyet should that person see? If that person is what? If the person is sarvam atma eva abhut. If that person sees that everything is self alone has become everything. Self alone has become everything. So how can that person, through what means can that person see what? If self alone has become everything, what is there to see? You see things only which are separate from you. If self, capital S, Atma alone has become everything, then nothing is separate from you. Then how will you see something? And you use some instrument to do some work only when you think that that instrument is separate from you. If Atma has become everything, then instrument is not separate from you. So kena, by what means will you see? By no means you can see. Kena kam pashyat, what will you see? Nothing you can see, because what you will see, that object which is seen, drishya, there is no drishya, everything is drik only. And by what means you will see? Again, the karana means the nimitta karana, or the instrument which is used to do something. That is not possible because there is nothing other than Brahman. Similarly, kena kam vijaniyat, by what would you know what? There is nothing to be known. And through what means will you know? Because you have gone beyond the Triputi Beda of knowledge. You have gone beyond the triad of knower, known, and the process of knowing. So what will you know? Through what will you know? Vigyataram kena vijaniyat. So Vigyataram, the knower, are means, oh Baba, like that. Dear one. This array in Hindi might have come from here only, I think. In Sanskrit also array is there, very old. Upanishad is there. So from where we think we are talking some great language, it's all there in the Sanskrit text. So array Vigyataram array kena vijaniyat. Straight away like that you can translate into Hindi. Array Vigyatar ko kaise janoge? If you read this Gita Press translations, they are like that. They simply take Samskrita, take words and simply put it. They will some kaki they will add here and there. That's all. They don't simplify those words. So Vigyataram array, one who is the knower. Kena vijaniyat. How will you know that knower? Through what means will you know that knower? So knower cannot be known, because knower knows everything. Who will know the knower? That is the question. So knower cannot be known. And so that is what is told here. I am Atma Brahma. This Atman is Brahman. Ityadi bihi. In sentences starting like this, it is told Atma Tattvam Upadishyate. The Tattva or the principle or the true nature of us, our true nature, that is self, is explained, is described, is taught, instructed. Upadishyate is instructed through these kinds of statements. That means these statements, they are only telling that you cannot either accept Atman or you cannot give up Atman, because Atman is something which is Yatha Bhuta Vastu. It is already there. It is pre-existing. So you cannot either give up or you cannot accept, etc. That is the idea here. So therefore, the knowledge, though it happens in the mind, it is not kriya. It is not mental action. It is vastu tantram. It is dependent on the entity. It is not dependent on purusha tantram. So knowledge means knowledge, as we so here also, then one might ask, if that is the case, vastu tantram, knowledge will come. So why should we study for examination? Just look at the book and knowledge will come. So many people are there, high IQs nowadays. What they will ask, nobody knows. So then just read, just see the book, knowledge will come. What is the point? The point is that, yes, it is true in one way if you look at it. If there is knowledge just like this, that water is there in front of you, cow is there in front of you, then for that one need not read books. But the moment we say instead of water H2O, there is a sankalpa. There is you have added symbols, etc., which is not so apparent, which is not so evident. So then you have to study, because that is some kind of imagination. So that is equivalent to the Upanishadic statement which says, this Agni, Gautama, Yova Purusha Agni. So this Gautama, this is Agni. This man is Agni, this woman is Agni. So you are seeing only man and woman. But if it has to be shown that it is Agni, then you have to study. So in study also, there's this formula, that formula, this person invented that person discovered this, etc. That is not apparent. So that is why one has to study. Otherwise, you look at the sky and there is sun or moon, and you look below, there is water or earth, and then there are some animals. For that, there is pratyaksha. That is very palpable and very vivid and very evident. For that, you don't need to study. So study also, if we carefully analyze, what we study, that has got two aspects. One is, which is kind of a instruction that you take this to mean this symbol. And also whatever you study also, for example, whatever is being told, like water is H2O, etc. Even that study one can understand only as much as one has understood it in the mind. Otherwise, everybody who sees the book and studies will know equally well. It is not happening like that. Some people who have put their minds more, they know more, they grasp more. Some people who have put their minds less, they grasp less. So that is Manasa Kriya. So that is why it is Purusha Tantra. It depends on the person. But if you see a pond in front of you, even the dullest person will say, yes, yes, there is pond in front of me. Because it does not depend on the person. It depends on the Vastu. That is the difference. Suppose somebody sees fire in front. So even the most stupidest person will say, IQ very low. Even that person will say, by the way, IQ is very debatable. Whether it is the sign of intelligence, it is highly debatable. So that person will also say that yes, yes, fire is there in front of me. So it does not depend on Purusha, on the person. Whereas that is Jnana. Whereas all other mental actions are definitely dependent on person. So this is what we have to understand. And so Brahman, knowledge of Brahman is not just mental action. It's not mental action. So one cannot say, oh, mentally some action you are performing and getting the knowledge of Brahman. It is not so. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tatsat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Are there any questions?
Swamiji, I have one. You mentioned that like for the pramana, the first thing is like the direct perception, whereas Brahman can't be perceived directly, right? So how that can be the directly perceived? It has to be only, it can only be inferred, or one is the other pramanas, through only the other pramanas you can infer it, right?
No, here what was told is Jnanam tu Pramana Janyam. Jnana is attained by Pramana, through the means of Pramana. And Pramana is Bhuta Vastu Vishaya. Means it is dependent on pre-existing things. So here it is not, here the knowledge of Brahman is not touched at all in that statement.
Okay, okay.
Jnanam, normal knowledge, valid knowledge. That is what is told. Valid knowledge is Pramana Janyam, is born out of valid means of knowledge. And Pramana is born out of already existing entity.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Brahman is, so why? Because it was told Jnana is also Manasi Kriya. It's also one mental activity that was told. That was the objection. So then Shankaracharya says, no, meditation or thinking, they are mental activities, but Jnana is not mental activity. It is dependent on the object. It does not depend on the activity of a person.
Okay.
So to prove that, he is telling what is Pramana, how Pramana operates. So all Pramanas, whatever Pramana it is, they all are dependent on Pratyaksha. So you might be using the Pratyaksha of somebody else. For example, Anumana. Previously you have seen. So that is your memory you use there to infer in Anumana.
Okay, okay.
And Upamana also it is like that. So you comparison. You compare because of memory of your previous direct perception. Then Anupalabdhi, you go to a place and you see that something is not there. So that is also direct perception. You are actually seeing the absence of something. That is the Anupalabdhi. Then Arthapatti, presumption. You imply something there. By implication, you understand something. By presuming something, you understand something. So there also, you are using the knowledge which you gained through direct perception. And Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana, of course, you are using direct perception because you have to hear Shabda. No? So unless you hear the Shabda, somebody is coming and telling you something, or you are reading the scriptures, Vedas. So either way, verbal testimony it is called. So that you are hearing or you are reading something, so there is direct perception. All the 6 pramanas are dependent on direct perception.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any questions? Smriti, any question?
No, Swamiji.
So the goal of human life is what, Smriti? Hello?
You're okay. Me, Swamiji. God realization.
God realization. Moksha. Goal of human life is moksha. Okay. So moksha is goal of human life. Goal of human life is moksha or God realization. Okay. So if one has to realize God, one has to be away from all that will not lead to God. Is it not? One has to be away from all that which will not lead to God. For that, one has to study the scriptures. One has to study the sacred text, because they will remove us or take us away from whatever regular inclination we have. That will vimukhi karana it will do. So that is why Upanishads have to be studied on a regular basis, because then they will take us away from our lower tendencies. This is the idea. Clear, Smriti?
Yes, Swamiji.
No, it is all clear, but I'm just reminding. Okay, so now that's all, because no other question is there. We can stop here, no?
Yes, Swamiji.
Do you have any question? You don't have any question?
No, Swamiji. I don't have.
Okay. Okay. Shubharatri. Shubharatri.